When did you start studying medicine?
Well, I started studying medicine in 2022.
Okay, 2022. Did you have to move immediately?
Well, I got here 2021, but due to the pandemic, I wasn't able to start my studies till 2022, a year later. Right after the pandemic, I moved to Berlin to start my studies.
Okay, when you got to Berlin, was it a little bit different from Sao Paulo, San Luis, or it was the same?
It was a little bit different because Berlin is more village-like.
Or more village-like in terms of what?
In terms of everything, in terms of the architecture, we have more of old buildings, more of ancient, historical buildings. In terms of the environment, there are more of trees, more of plants, more of farming. In terms of what else? This development and industrialization, there are little or few industrialization in Berlin. So most of the people there practice home farming so they can be able to sell. Some of the people there practice normal trading. That is made up of normal traders, simple traders, or petty traders. I think so.
All right, that's interesting. And what about the food? You talked about subsistence farming. So I imagine the food in Berlin. How was it? Give us your experience about food in Berlin.
Wow, food in Berlin is another level. One of the things best symbol to identify Berlin is their unique way of cooking, because they have great food. When I mean great food, I mean food, ancient food, that is traditional food, where you prepare in a special manner where you never get elsewhere or in any other state. They have ranging from the normal vatapa, normal caipirinha, they have moqueca, they have canjica, even the acai, the normal acai we know. History has it that it originates from Para. I don't know whether you know what is acai.
After getting to Berlin, you started studying. What were the subjects?
22 subjects. When I talk about subjects, I'm talking of 22 different subjects being coordinated by 22 professors or lecturers.
22. Is it the first semester, the second, or how is the division?
When I say 22 subjects, like in every semester, we have at least 22 subjects. Subjects can have 3 areas.
So your first semester, you studied how many subjects? 22?
Yeah. Even in the second and in the third. 22, but there are always some diverse changes made, but it must be 22.
22 subjects. I don't think it's easy. 22 subjects. So in a day, you studied like how many?
We can study 4. Okay. Because it's been divided into theory and practical. So without the division, I will classify them as 2. But with the division, I'll classify them as 4. Because it takes from morning, very early in the morning, 7:30 a.m., at times 8 a.m., till late in the night, 6 p.m. or 7 p.m.
And where were you staying? Was it close to the university? Was it far away from the university?
Well, I stay not too far from the university because I don't like the stress, like taking the stress of going very far in order to get home or to go to school. So in order to avoid late coming.
While we were talking, there was this little interference I noticed. It's the same in my case. We have interference with Portuguese. So let's go back to Nigeria. Where did you learn Portuguese?
Well, I learned Portuguese at the Lagos State University.
How was it learning Portuguese?
It was cool. Always funny, always lively. There in Lasso, in the Lagos State University, our coordinator was Professor Tayo Ajayi. And it was through him I was able to achieve a good level in Portuguese.
Was it just one teacher?
It was made up of 3 teachers, then 1 coordinator.
Okay, so you had 3 classes with different teachers. Was it different, each teacher?
One is in charge of the speaking part, the one is in charge of the writing part, the one in charge of the listening, and the fourth one was conducted by Professor Taya Ajayi himself, who is the coordinator.
How long did you go through this process?
Well, just a semester.
6 months.
Yeah.
All right. And after that, did you go straight to write the self-revised examination?
Yeah. After the learning of the course, I had to apply for the exam, which is the International Self-Revised exam. Then I did the exam, and glory be to God, I did well. I came out very well in the exam.
All right. We went through this long route because I wanted to get to this point. Because I can hear that Portuguese is interfering a little bit in your English. What do you think causes that?
Honestly, at this point, when you hear my English, my spoken English, you would think I'm still a learner in English or at the intermediary level of English, but I'm an advanced English speaker who has come encountered with another foreign language called Portuguese, and this Portuguese started interfering in my good English. That's the reason why before speaking any English I have to think again in order to avoid applying Portuguese words for English words.
All right, and let me it takes us to another interesting part of it. In the process of learning Portuguese, how did you synchronize? How did you communicate with people? Was it that you get the information, you translate it, and then you think of the answer, then you translate it back?
In Portuguese, it involves 3 stages during your learning. The initial stage is for the learners. The middle stage are for those who has learned and is applying what they've learned, and the last stage are for those who has learned completely and who has already applied, who speaks without thinking. That initial stage I passed through at the beginning was the stage where I have to think before saying anything. I have to translate in my head from English to Portuguese. That was the initial stage, and this takes time because before making a sentence you have to take a long time to think, and while speaking you delay a lot. Then for the second stage, which is the middle stage, is the stage where you don't delay much, you don't translate much, you just speak, but you also speak. When you speak, someone knows that really you are still learning, showing that you are only applying what you've learned, then without translating much. Then the final stage, which I am in now, where you don't need to translate, you don't need to think, you don't need to apply, you just speak as if you are speaking your normal English.
All right. So you think in Portuguese and you speak in Portuguese.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Portuguese language in your medical class. All right. I know that when you got here, you were still a basic, how can I say, Portuguese speaker, right?
Yeah.
And how was the experience, getting into a class where a teacher, a lecturer speaks everything in Portuguese?
Honestly, it wasn't that easy at the beginning. So I have to study more. You know what is study more? You as a foreign student, a foreigner who doesn't speak Portuguese as a native language, once you get here, you have to, once your colleagues are studying for 1 hour, you have to study 2 hours, because this helps a lot. In most of the classes, there are times where I attend classes at the beginning, not now, at the beginning, where in a whole class, I won't be able to understand even up to half of the class. I won't be able to understand almost anything. I will just understand some basic parts where the teacher speaks slowly. The other parts where the lecturer speaks fast will just look like a music to me or something else. But the only thing that helped me this period was going home to sit and read extra time. Read and study overnight. I started preparing ahead of each class so that I can easily comprehend whatever the teacher is teaching, even if I didn't understand everything. I think this is what really helped.
All right. And was there any class that you attended in English?
No, there have never been any class in English. All the classes are in Portuguese.
Materials? What about books, textbooks?
Textbooks are also in Portuguese, nothing of English.
And what about your relationship with your colleagues?
My relationship with my colleague, it depends, because firstly, there are two sets of people. there are people who look at you from where you are coming from, and there are other people who look at you not from where you are coming from, but from where you will get to. When I mean where they believe that you are going to get to, those are the two types of people. Then I have a good, I would say I had a good experience and an ugly experience at the same time, the two at the same time. And this ugly experience came from the set of people who looked at me from where I'm coming from. Why the good experience came from those who believe that yes, it doesn't matter where he came from or the country he came from. What matters is where he's going to be. He's going to be a doctor like me. He's just like me, and we are all equal.
All right, that's nice. What about your relationship with your teachers? What was it?
Teachers are very simple. They are very easygoing people. I had a nice relationship with my teachers. Most of my motivators were my teachers.
Do you start studying at any university in Nigeria?
Yeah, I studied a little bit before leaving.
So what can you say is obvious about the differences, of what you saw there and here?
Well, there's a much difference between Nigeria and here in Brazil. When you talk about difference, we're talking about the standard of teaching and also the infrastructures. When I'm talking about infrastructure, I'm talking of good classroom, well conducive studying environment, well furnished. I'm talking of steady power supply, and there's availability of resources like books in the library for you to get anytime you like. You don't need to be a rich person, a rich kid to study here, Brazil, to be able to survive. It's not like a survival of the fittest. Despite the fact that I'm talking of a federal university here, then unlike in Nigeria, when I did a course of engineering, it was hell. When I mean hell, there wasn't good educational facilities. When I mean good educational facilities, I'm talking of good chairs in the classroom. At least there ought to be good chairs, even if there isn't 24 hours power supply. At least there have to be good chairs and tables for every student to sit. Then there have to be also good books available in the library.
Before we round up, what word of encouragement can you give to the young ones who may be inspired in studying here in Brazil or in any part of the world? What words would you give them?
Well, my word of advice for anyone who wants to study university is just to be focused on what you came to the university or what you want to do in university. When I mean focus, there's a whole lot of distraction in the university, because the university itself is a world on its own. As I do say, when I mean it's a world on its own, when you get there, you understand. But before going there, have it in mind that this is what you want to do and this is who you want to become in future. It depends on you. Not that the university decides, you are the one who decides, but the university assists you. Because if you decide to be a good professional in whatever profession you want to be, it comes from your decision. The university help you to become a good lawyer, a good doctor. But once you decide that you want to go astray, the same decision comes from you. The same university too will also assist you, because in the same university there are good people, in the same university there are those ones to lead you astray. So the decision is yours. My advice is for you to take the good path. That's all.
So you've heard from Chisom, a medical student who studies at the Universidade Federal de Pará. See you in the next video.